It's very easy to make mistakes when you get into watch collecting for the first time, because even the most experienced watch collectors make mistakes too. Making these errors can leave you with a horrible sour taste in your mouth, worse than eating a full tub of toxic waste candy. It can also cost you your hard-earned cash, which could be used to save towards your first Patek Philippe. Well, yeah, I think we'll be saving for a while for that one. I've been collecting watches now for a few years. I've made plenty of mistakes and I've been left with some painful stings, which have thankfully healed, but it still hurts like that crush that didn't even know you existed. Or is that just me? So if you want to enjoy watch collecting to its fullest, in this video I'll show you 10 terrible watch collecting mistakes that you should avoid. There is a very popular saying that has become mainstream recently that size doesn't matter, which tends to only be said by the smaller people. However, in the world of watch collecting, size does absolutely matter, because if you don't find the right size, you'll find yourself very dissatisfied. It can be hard to know exactly what size fits you best, because this not only comes down to wrist size, but also your personal preference. If you have a small one like me, then you're better off sticking with smaller watches. And if you have a big one, you have a lot more choice, so go and enjoy yourself. But remember, always wear protection. It's important to understand what your ideal size is. This can only really be achieved by trying watches on and making notes of what you like the most. I'd recommend visiting a local watch store and trying on various different watches. Make a note of what sizes fit you best, and that way you can avoid buying watches that will end up on eBay looking for someone who can treat it better. It's a human instinct to want to get the best quality possible for the money that we spend, which does actually beg the question, why does anybody even buy a moon swatch? But focusing purely on value for money can actually be a big negative when watch collecting. Here's why. Don't let getting the most amount of specifications for the money blind you more than a pepper spray to the face. Open up your mind to allowing watches to have their flaws. If a watch doesn't have a sapphire crystal, so what? If a watch only has 50 meters of water resistance, so what? Forget about finding the perfect watch, it just doesn't exist. If you do manage to let all of these requirements go, you'll find some absolute gems. Take this vintage Fortis Flieger watch for example. Quartz movement, mineral crystal, low water resistance, but guess what? It's super cool and incredibly unique. Why would I want to wear a boring Black Bay 58 that sends me to sleep every time I see one on Instagram? Value for money isn't everything. Finding what you like is. One of the biggest talking points amongst watch enthusiasts is quartz versus automatic watches. Most YouTube watch reviewers seem to only recommend mechanical watches like a broken record, which does beg the question, are all quartz watches absolutely trash and should we avoid them all? I feel like I'm one of the only watch reviewers that loves a good quartz watch. Most of them will have you believe that a quartz piece comes with a side of diarrhea. But of course this is far from the truth. Yes, it is true that 99% of quartz watches are more accurate than any mechanical watch you can find. Yes, even including the big boys Rolex. But some will argue that that doesn't matter. It's all about the engineering and the history that comes with a mechanical watch, which yes, I agree, is important, but don't dismiss quartz watches entirely. Take this Hamilton for example, a stunning level of detail and a very thin and wearable case. It does have a quartz movement, but who cares? It's bloody beautiful. Now, have you ever uninstalled a game on your mobile phone only to reinstall it again in the future? Well, this can actually happen with watches too. You instantly decide that you're done with a watch and you sell it, only to find yourself crying at other people's Instagram photos wearing the watch that you just sold, full of remorse. Seller's remorse is a very real thing in the watch collecting world. You might sell a watch because it's not getting enough wrist time, or because someone has made you a great offer that you cannot refuse, Godfather style. But if it wasn't time for that watch to go, you'll experience pure heartbreak, like losing just one of your lucky socks and realizing that you're destined for a lifetime of bad luck. Now, you might be able to buy the watch back, but it will never be that one that you owned, the one that you formed memories with. Instead, it now has a new lover who is treating it better than we ever could. We turned our back and now it's gone forever. Now, I was very guilty of this next one when I first started collecting watches. Because I had just found a new exciting interest, I wanted to get involved as quickly as I could, but it caused me a lot of problems and ultimately ended up costing me a lot of money. Because I didn't own any watches, I wanted a watch collection so badly. After watching a few reviews online, I thought I was the Einstein of watches and I knew exactly what to buy and how much to pay. So I picked up around 8 watches in my first month of being a watch enthusiast. But guess what? This was a huge mistake. You'll find that your taste will change very quickly when you first get into watches. You'll quickly leave behind the watches that you first bought, ultimately selling the watches that you picked up for what seemed like a good price, but you'll likely take a loss and have less money for the watches that you actually want. The key here is to start collecting slowly. What's the rush? This next one I believe is key when collecting watches. It is tempting to only buy watches from the big respected brands. Sure, Seiko, Orient, Tissot, Citizen, they all make fantastic watches. But guess what? Smaller brands create incredible watches too, and often they're actually better than the big brands' watches. You'll find that the smaller watch brands take more risks with their designs and tend to be more unique. So go on the hunt, like an eagle needing some lunch, for some unique designs. You'll find so much more satisfaction when you have a unique watch on your wrist. It's almost like developing an extra dimension of brain power, letting everyone else chase around the hype pieces while you look for these smaller brands that are working hard. You'll find that the lesser known brands are doing a hell of a lot more for your money than the big brands do. Some of the legacy watchmakers rely on their name to make them money, and it works, but the smaller brands are relying on their actual watches to capture your interest. Listening to others is an important way to gain information and knowledge about a certain subject. Otherwise, we'd all be crawling around on the floor scratching our ass and not knowing which way is left and right. But it's important to take things that people say with a grain of salt and remember to form your own opinion. I know this point seems a bit counterintuitive because I'm telling you not to listen to others, but I'm asking you to listen to me. My point here is to take what others say and not take it as absolute fact. It's hard to tell whether someone has an agenda, a personal grudge, or is just uneducated themselves. It's important to take in multiple opinions and sources with every outlook on a watch. Take the Tissot PRX for example, a watch that every single watch enthusiast raves about online like it's the best thing since cheese on a pizza. I however didn't enjoy the PRX as much as others did, leading to me selling my PRX for a loss on the secondary market. Completing a collection is an interesting talking point in watch collecting. Some will have you believe that you need a dress watch, a dive watch, a chronograph, a field watch in your collection if you want it to be complete. Otherwise, you aren't a proper watch collector, but that is far from the truth. If you rarely get dressed up, then why the hell do you need a fancy dress watch? A collection is complete when you have a selection of watches that fit your style and your needs. This of course changes depending on things like your profession and your personal style. If you wear a suit and tie every day, you probably won't want a G-Shock. If you wear a sweater and shorts every day, you probably won't want an Orient Bambino. Point is, build your collection around your life, not what others tell you a collection should be. Now what happens when you want a Rolex but all you can afford is a Seiko? Well, some people turn to homage watches, where you can pick up an expensive watch lookalike for about the cost of a night out in your local town. But homage watches are a lethal trap and you need to proceed with caution. They usually offer amazing specifications for not a lot of cash, but it's important to remember that they aren't the be all and end all of watch collecting. I feel bad when I see someone's collection and all they have is 10 watches that all look identical to Omega, Tudor and Rolex, because they're missing out on so many great watches and unique designs by other brands. Yes, buy a homage watch and experience one. Come to your own conclusion and opinion on the matter, but just remember, other brands put a hell of a lot of cash and time into creating unique designs for you. Now with this final point, I do have to admit I probably struggle with this the most on today's list. I hate waiting around at airports for my flight. I hate waiting an hour for my food to arrive at the restaurant. I just hate waiting in general. But when watch collecting, patience is absolutely key. It's difficult to fight the urge to impulse purchase a watch for that immediate satisfaction. This could very easily lead though to buyer's remorse where you almost regret the purchase immediately. This has happened with me before. I've ordered a watch online and in less than 30 seconds I've cancelled the order because I wasn't patient. However, if you are patient, you will be rewarded. Not only will you know for sure whether the watch is the right one for you, but also you'll likely find a better price on the watch too. I wanted an Orient Kamasu for around 12 months. Eventually one popped up on a flash sale for only $150. My patience was rewarded. Some of the watches featured in this video today are actually for sale over on the toptierticker.com official watch store. Go and check them out, I'll leave a link in the description. If you liked this video and want to hear me actually say some good things about watches, be sure to watch my video here appear on screen on 10 underappreciated watches enthusiasts should know.